we return to the story in a dark cavern beneath Mandalore. Maul has brought Ahsoka into a series of caverns under the capital, piquing Ahsoka's curiosity as she followed him ever deeper.
Where are we going?
How aware are you of the Mandalorian traditions and culture?
Not as much as I should be. The Jedi archives hold a lot of knowledge, but they're incomplete in some respects. Most of what I know is from the ancient traditions, or the Mandalorian Wars.
Then are you aware of the Mines of Mandalore?
The mines?
I am not surprised in the least that such information would be absent from that database. Yes, the Mines of Mandalore, hidden below this very city.
I don't understand why the Mandalorians follow you. Your ideals. They don't seem to be a great fit for them.
Is that an accusation? Have I not allowed this city, this planet, to prosper in its neutrality?
When Satine ruled, this planet had a heart. You've darkened it, Maul.
So you say. Yet the Mandalorians are loyal, Lady Tano. Don't you see many of the Mandalorians, even beyond those like Saxon and the Prime Minister, know that the freedom they would have greater bounds within my rule, rather than, say, the Galactic Republics?
As if.
You fail to see the bigger picture, Lady Tano. Mandalore has the right to make its own choices. Abiding by a government such as the Republic, so corrupt and bloated, so righteous in its failure, you may as well poison your people yourself. Not that I am, mind you.
The Republic may not be perfect, but it stood for thousands of years and brought peace and prosperity to hundreds of planets.
And as a consequence, it has lost its ability to change. There is a reason that my master was able to assert himself over the most powerful governing body in the galaxy. Because the people and their representatives are equally tired of a government which fails in its ability. Your master, for instance, what do you think could have been if the Republic had delivered on its promise and eliminated slavery? How prosperous could Ryloth be if its senator was not corrupt and neglectful? Perhaps the Republic was once a bastion of the ideals you Jedi hold so dear, but it has fallen, and its stagnation has led to the suffering which now fuels my master, myself, and to a point, you. If it had changed, perhaps we would not have been tools for greater powers, and cast aside, as we were.
Ahsoka walked in silence for a moment. She had heard similar concerns expressed widely, not just by her master, but by Padme and Obi-Wan, and others. It was apparently why Dooku had left in the first place as well. Ahsoka didn't think about it for much longer, however, as she and Maul entered a massive cavern with an expansive pool at the bottom.
The Mines of Mandalore and the living waters, sacred to their warriors. It is said that the waters are part of a shifting aquifer, stable and providing a constant supply of mineralized water with the trace elements needed to forge Beskar properly. The secret of Mandalore, Lady Tano, something most precious to these people, one that not even the Republic is aware about.
This place is beautiful.
Only until the Republic takes hold of it and it becomes nothing more than another resource to be pillaged.
But how can you be sure that will happen, Maul?
Because it will. It has happened before. Now, enough philosophizing for today, Lady Tano. Here I will continue your training. Here you will learn of the dark and the light, and you will learn of, even become a part of, Mandalore. Your first lesson will be simple. The Mandalorians, they never make weapons of Beskar, only tools and armor.
Maul stretched out his hands and summoned a metal rod to his hand. From Maul's words, she assumed that he'd brought it here earlier and that it was made out of Beskar.
This is not a weapon, though it can be used as such.
Maul tossed Ahsoka the rod.
All right, but what is it for?
Maul drew the darksaber and rushed Ahsoka, who nearly panicked, but still managed to raise the rod out of habit in order to defend herself. It worked, but she was forced back due to her inexperience with such a dense tool.
To prevent you from dying, of course. The lightsaber behaves with weight through the machinations of the Force in your own emotional state. It would not do for my apprentice to find her blade too heavy should she experience unexpected fear.
Maul disengaged from Ahsoka and deactivated his blade before reaching for a rod of his own.
You rely on agility as a fighter, and you are competent as one, but you must diversify your skills. You must learn to be pragmatic and determined, else you will meet with defeat. Adapt to the weight, strengthen yourself, and once you are spent, we will move on.
All right, show me what you got.
What he's got was a lot. The two combatants fought in irregular, but about 7-minute bouts, with Maul at a distinct advantage at the start. Ahsoka quickly caught up to him, though. While she was still inferior to him in skill simply due to time, that did not prevent her from winning some of their rounds. After 2 hours of bruising, the two placed their rods to the side. They took 10 minutes to regain their breaths.
All right, I wasn't expecting that.
Good. Then your mind is open, and you will learn.
What now?
Why did you hesitate to kill the debt collector?
Better question. Why wouldn't I?
Deflecting will get you nowhere, though I suppose it is expected considering your upbringing. Answer the question.
Because killing in cold blood is just cruel and wrong. I admit it's not something I expect a Sith to understand.
There have been Sith who abstain from it. That begs the question. Did you kill in cold blood?
What?
Were you especially cruel? Did you cause undue pain? Did you show no emotion? No. You struggled with it.
Yes.
That is not cold-blooded.
No,
It is not evil, it is efficient. Your emotions are a part of you. Do not ignore them, let them strengthen you. You need not be callous to be pragmatic.
Ahsoka was silent as she warred within herself. Her Jedi upbringing clashed in turn with Maul's words and her own disappointment in the Republic and the Jedi.
Which brings us to our next lesson. Using your emotions within the Force. Emotion can drive one's power beyond the teachings of the Order, but even then you cannot simply claim you are not a Jedi because you have committed a murder out of anger, out of desire, even. Of course, you could simply claim that this was in the name of peace and balance, but no. A Jedi's conviction that they did no wrong is nothing more than a sad rationalization. That is why Sith such as my master embraced the dark side from the very beginning, for the very acquisition of power as power. There is no justification for the actions. There is no motivation that makes them right. There is only power.
But the Force flows through all of us. It binds the universe together, connects us. Immerse yourself in its flow, and the power and fate necessary for the health of the galaxy will come to pass.
And how many times has your inability to immerse yourself led to the deaths of someone you could have saved?
Ahsoka thought back to Stila Guerrera. If she'd only been slightly stronger, slightly faster, the brave rebel would have survived. She thought about every clone, every soldier, and every civilian who had died next to her.
The Force is far more fickle than the Jedi believe. They train you to be content to die, even as a child, even as they sow the seeds of hatred and distrust against them. You know that on dozens of planets the Jedi are still viewed as child kidnappers, and are distrusted, despised.
Unfortunately, I do, but the Jedi don't do that.
Anymore. How many of your greatest ancient members were accepted into the Order over age? How many of your greatest current members still are? How many on the Council? Your master, even.
I see your point.
So now that your mind is open to possibility, we can continue.
Meanwhile, in another part of the galaxy, Anakin Skywalker stood in the doorway of his wife, Padme Amidala's room.
So this Pinto Sonel, could he have been killed by Ventress?
I doubt that. He didn't have a bounty on him, and she's currently elsewhere.
So, some madman is running around with 2 lightsabers on Coruscant?
Looks like it. They're pretty short by the look of the angles on the strikes. Maybe about
About what?
Ahsoka's size.
I know you miss her. You need to talk about it.
Well,
Anakin's holo communicator beeped before he gave Padme a sad look and went over to the corner.
Anakin, are you there?
Yes. What is it, Obi-Wan?
You should come down to level 1313. The Security Bureau has finally gained access to the nearby street holo recorders.
Took them long enough. I'll be there soon.
Anakin turned to look at Padme, obviously disappointed at being cut off.
Don't worry. Just go. It's important.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Padme.
An hour later, Anakin Skywalker reconvened with Captain Rex and met Obi-Wan Kenobi at a sleazy security office.
Yeah, see? I told you the tapes would be here. I'm a busy man, Jedi.
We expected these over a day ago, Sergeant.
Our patience was beginning to wear thin.
Lou, as a bonus for the wait, I can tell you that I knew Pinto personally, and he wanted the extra security. Guy was always paranoid someone was gonna off him. Besides, I only do what they pay me to do, and what they pay me to do is too much.
I do hope your association didn't affect the thoroughness of your work.
Or the size of your paycheck.
Is that an accusation? Jedi, here's your stupid tape.
Play it for us.
Okay.
The security officer took the tape and placed it into the entry port of the holoprojector. The image started in real time.
So here's Mr. Pinto, doing his daily routine.
Can you find the exact moment of his death?
The officer nodded before speeding up the image. The images would go in rotation to show the exterior angles of Pinto's warehouse, the patrols, and then return to Pinto's office where he was smoking death sticks. During the third rotation, Obi-Wan spotted a figure moving quickly.
Pause it. Right there.
The figure was colored white from the diffracted holoscan, and was too dim to get a good outline on.
There's our assassin. Looks like they must have known about the camera system and its capability. Continue.
The camera continued its rotation before it went into Pinto's office. Pinto looked up at a figure who was offset from the camera's field of view.
He seemed surprised, but not too frightened. Our assassin seems very intelligent.
The rotation continued.
Move it forward.
At Anakin's request, they went to the next 30-second cycle of Pintu's office. He was on his knees, holding his wrist. They couldn't make out the figure who was below the camera's field of vision.
The assassin is talking with him.
Suddenly, they caught wind of a blade going into his neck before his body slowly slumped to the side.
Rewind to the exact moment when the assassin struck.
Obi-Wan squinted as they saw the arm and blade of the assassin. The assassin wore white robes, however, their arm that came into view was gloved. But the blade was red and the hilt was oddly familiar.
I actually remember that weapon.
Obi-Wan crossed his arms.
The Shadow Collective must have ordered the strike. What's more, that is the hilt of Savage Opress. Maul is finally showing his hand.
I hate Sabak.
They stared at the screen, at the white figure and the freeze frame of Pintu's death. The Jedi Council was dealing with a Sith assassin under the employ of Darth Maul. Was Savage Opress alive?